right, the old man was supposed to be on vacation. He was even having some crazy headaches over the last couple of days. Saw some really interesting Bills news, and I even drank some Bailey's Irish Cream to get rid of that headache to do one last podcast before I go on vacation. I wanted to end with my Dolphins, but I saw a few interesting tidbits for the Bills, and for me, loyalty and courtesy are two of the highest principles, traits that I find in humanity. So, because the Bills fans have been so good to me, I had to cover this before I take a much-needed vacation. So, first off, I always believe in mea culpas. If I nail something, I'll put my hand up and say I got it. And if I'm wrong, I'll quickly put my hand up and say I was wrong. I have been gauging the Bills' running attack based on a few principles. One of the concepts or one of the ideas was that Moss was a big back. If you can see right here, PFF got me again. It says he's 222, but when you go check his weight on the Bills roster on their site, he's 205. A Bills fan told me, he goes, Moss ain't 222. And so that alters some things that I presented, some things that are running in my head. So I had to say, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. PFF will get me for the last time. I use them for more than other stuff, but sometimes I see a number, a weight, or a size, and it sticks in my head, and that's what's been sticking in my head, and it was wrong, so I do apologize to you Bills fans. But as far as what I'm interested in today, three things that I want to cover quickly. One, I saw it was very, very interesting, and I don't like it as a Phils fan, as a Fins fan. Maybe the Bailey's Cream's actually hitting a little too hard. Is Gabriel Davis has buffed himself up from 6'2", 210 to 6'2", 227, according to his training. Now, I'm sure it's a few pounds, a little bit extra, but you don't go to that weight unless the staff is telling you to, unless you're getting the okay. And this has some intriguing and interesting possibilities. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the Bills' offensive line has had some good components to it, but it's been weak on depth. And the front as a total hasn't been great. But Bills have two players that are listed in the top 12 in the league, along with Deion Dawkins. And this, to me, is very, very concerning. It should be a positive thing, obviously, for you Bills fans, because this is going to tie into another aspect, and that is Josh Allen was rated the number 3 overall quarterback in the NFL, but the one negative that was attached to him really appears to be going to be just swept away. And this goes back to something that I've been really focused on for you Bills and for Allen, because I am an Allen fan. So a lot of people are like, why'd you just come out of the closet and say you're a Bills fan? I'm not. I just have friends that are Bills fans, and I truly believe in journalistic integrity and honesty, and I try to cover teams, even if it's not my team, just from the perspective that I am trying to be honest and a little bit of being a fan towards that particular team, because I'm here to serve the audience. But I am an Allen fan, and so I never want the Bills or even Allen to compromise my Fins. But in the same token, if the Dolphins don't win the Super Bowl or the division and the Bills do, I'd much prefer them to get it than the Patriots or the Jets, who I still hate intensely from my early age. You know, from the early 80s, the Jets and the Dolphins hate each other. I do love that mud bowl. So Bills should be very happy. Fans should be very happy. And Fin fans a little bit concerned. So I'm going to dial into all three of these things a little bit for you guys. But first, I want to say thank you to everybody. I have fans come from many different teams, and they support this channel with comments and subscribes and likes. And they really help me out, because it's not happening without them. And I'm really starting to enjoy this. This wasn't my thing, man. This is definitely the last thing. I mean, nuclear bomb tester probably was equal to doing podcasting about football on YouTube as what I thought my life would actually end up doing. So I'm here doing this thing, and I really do enjoy it, and it's all about you guys supporting this channel. But I also have to give a shout out to my sponsors, because without them, clearly, this wouldn't be happening. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. First thing I want to get into quickly is Gabriel Davis bumping up to 227. That's a big dude. I mean, you saw what he did last year in the postseason. And him bumping up is really making this offense look like it's going to be a far more physical offense. You could see at 227, I got to do some research and watch some film on his run blocking. But this is going to create a very physical offense, and to be able to move him in a lot of different positions that maybe he wouldn't have been able to be in at 210. It's also going to help with the home games, the bad weather games. This physical style of play is so suited towards the home field advantage, but also Allen. Allen, I believe, since I started covering you guys, after I really started digging into him and I really became a fan of him, not just a kid, because I've been a fan of the kid before you guys drafted him, but as a player, the run game was something that I thought this kid needs. And if you guys can get that to a high degree, it's going to accentuate his abilities. I talked to somebody else and I said, this is going to be an offense that is a three-way go. You have a run attack, passing attack, and then you have the rushing attack at Allen. And there's so many things that can be built off this, but it has to be built through the run game. Now, Davis at 227 is just going to be a very, if he can keep that speed, and it's not fat weight, but I don't know how you could put on 17 pounds in the offseason and have it be muscle. It's got to be a little, unless there's a little extra help going on in there, there's got to be fat being added to his frame, and this has to slow him down to some degree. I don't know if he's going to stay at 227, but clearly they're looking to get him higher than 210, and I got to really think about what this means. So I'll look for your comments to help me kind of figure this thing out, because it just kind of caught me off guard. I was like, what? Down to the next part is Mitch Morse was rated the number 10th center in the league, and Saffold, who's your new left guard, was number 11th guard in the league. That was the rating that they got. And then you add him along with the rest, but that left side from Morse, Saffold, and Dawkins is going to be very, very difficult to handle. And again, this is going to help Allen so much. And when I get into ESPN's top 10, I'm going to go through that relatively quick. But the one major fear they had, and one of the restrictions they had on him, was injury because of his 422 carries since he's been in the league. To me, it looks like McDermott and Bean are highly focused on limiting this amount of rushes by Allen and handing him off to somebody else. And I believe that addition by subtraction, I believe less is more for Allen. Is going to make him even more dangerous. But most importantly, he's going to keep this kid healthy. He's got to stay healthy. Bills are not going anywhere without him. This kid has a long career where the physical side is really high and the mental is starting to catch up. At a certain point, they're going to balance out, and that's going to be his epic season. But he's got to keep that physical side. He's got to stay healthy as that mind continues to develop. And keeping the touches off him as far as running the football, except for postseason or critical games, really is something I've been focused on, and it really looks like the Bills have been focused. Now, the interesting part is the top 10 that I'm going to talk about is ESPN, and you got to drop a ton of salt on that, because for the most part, ESPN is pretty sketchy. I hate to say it. I grew up loving it. It was like everything. And now it's just really like a heap of trash for the most part. There's some good stuff in there. But generally speaking, sketchy. But I didn't find this top 10 really off base, and I thought it was interesting. Now, their top 10 was Rodgers, Mahomes, Allen, Brady, Burrow, Stafford, Herbert, Wilson, Watson, and Dak with Lamar, Carr, and Kyler Murray as honorable mentions. To me, Matt Ryan should have been in there. I feel like, again, this is where ESPN's out of the mind, because when you really look at the context of this guy's season, what he had to work with, I felt like he should have been in there. Now, I don't mind Allen being 3. I personally think he should have been 2. Mahomes, if you really watch him, something's going on. It's not like he sucks and they figured him out, but he was very impatient and antsy last year. And the film that I studied with him, he was very quick to get on the move and get out of that pocket. And they put in there patience was one of the biggest problems. But he had a very poor season. I mean, overall, the base statistics, it was really good. But when you factor in, I think he was top 1 or 2 in Yak, and Allen was like 14th. Allen, to me, really should have been number 2. I felt like this was a name-dropping thing. I can see it. I mean, the guy won a Super Bowl, went to 2 Super Bowls, and that's a lot of cred. But when you really look at it, I really would have liked to see those rotated. And for me, too, I thought Brady should have been rotated with Burrow. You know, because when you add, if you just look at the base stats, I kind of see it a little bit, you know, with Brady and Burrow. But the context for Allen and Burrow is such a mitigating set of context that these guys need to be bumped up. Now, Allen, I think by season's end, you know, when I first started covering you guys, Allen was considered a fluke and going to go crash and burn. And a lot of people were saying, this kid's a fluke. He's ready to crash and burn. And now the woodwork, out of the woodwork from the people who were saying he was done, they're saying now he's number 3. I think by season's end, he's going to be number 1. I still like Burrow. I think you go this way or that way. And some people say, I'll get into biggest. But I really love Allen and I really love Burrow. I think Allen's ceiling's a little bit higher. But to me, Burrow's intelligence is so special, and the beating he takes and the physicality to hang in there. But again, nobody in the league is in the same category as Allen. Herbert, I really got to do more study on. He's really close in that area. He advanced much quicker than Allen. I think he's a guy that can start approaching. He's got a great framework. But Allen, if you go look, MVP odds, Allen is plus 700, the best in the league, followed by Mahomes at 800 and Rodgers at 900. So the money guys who make their living on being right or getting it close to right, they see it different than ESPN, and I tend to agree with them more. Rodgers is a real good quarterback. I think he suffers a little bit like Allen does with a team that's built to pass in a stadium that's designed for a different kind of offense. If Rodgers, I think, had been in a dome, he'd have had more championships. Because if you watched last year, they weren't able to run, and that weather, as soon as the snow and the cold started happening, things kind of changed a little bit for the Green Bay Packers. And I don't know if they've made the same smart moves that Bean and McDermott have going into this season. Because what the Bills are doing are setting the team, the offense, and Allen up for very high returns. And I really like the odds of Allen. I mean, I have a lot of Finn fans that are like, oh, no, we're going to challenge the Bills. Maybe, I hope so. And maybe I'm just a little bit conservative and I don't see it yet. I got to see some film of this team, my Finns team, to see if they can challenge the Bills. We're going to have to take at least one. But to me, if the Bills run the football, and I'm not saying top 5, if they run it top 10 without Allen being involved, because I think when you took Allen's run stats out last year, they were like 30th or something. They were like bottom 4 in the league or 5 in the league or maybe 2 or something terrible. If you could take Allen's rushing stats and cut them in half and still be 10th best in the league in rushing, this offense is going to be brutal. This defense is going to be rested, and it's going to be very difficult for anybody to stop them. Let me know what you think. This is a big year for all involved. There's so many teams. Bills really have a lot on the line. And I think, I did a thing about the cat. I'm not saying the team's going to peter out after the season, but they're going to have to make some choice cuts. And you never know what happens when you make choice cuts. But this team's going to be around for a long time as long as Allen's healthy. But for this season, man, I like their chances they run that football. I do hope my Dolphins shock you and knock you down to second, but we'll see. Anyway, as Curtis saying, thanks for staying to the end. Bills fans, let me know what you think about Davis bulking up. What do you think about Allen at number 3? I think you got great things coming for you. But this Gabriel Davis thing at 227 has really caught me off left field. So I'm having a good vacation. I hope you enjoy my time away. Look forward to seeing you guys soon. Curtis saying, be well. Catch you next time. See you soon. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.